This is team SSKBBM. Thank you. Our idea was for an automated irrigation system, which was not by usual standards, which was not set with a timer and was activated by a certain time or day. We tried to sense if the soil needed to be hydrated or not, and we wanted to sense the level of water in the soil to know if it was irrigated or not. And depending on how hydrated the soil was, we would irrigate it with water and hydrate it or not. So if the soil had water in it, our pump would stop, our valve would close, and it would not spread out water. But if the soil was dry, we would let out water. And
the components we bought a water valve, we bought 2 relays, 2 transistors, and a voltage regulator.
We made our own sensor.
Yes, we made our own sensor. It's very nice. And we used the Altera DE2 to code the code that makes this work.
Hello everybody, I'm Bassem, and I'm going to quickly talk to you about our digital system design project. Our project is made up of 2 circuits. The first circuit takes input from the water detection sensor, and this sensor has 2 nodes. Node 1 is always connected to the value of 1, coming from the Altera. Node 2 is the input for the first circuit. If water is detected, voltage is transformed from node 1 to node 2, passing the value of 1 to the first circuit. Else, high impedance will be given out, and as you know, the Altera doesn't read high impedance. However, the first circuit's function is to transform high impedance to 0, making it readable by the Altera, then forwarding this input 0 or 1 to the Altera. The Altera then takes this input and complements it, then forwards the new input to the second circuit. The second circuit basically waits for the input, and if it receives 0, it closes the valve, and if it receives 1, it opens the valve, letting water out. For example, one scenario would be, if no water is sensed by the water detection sensor, a value of high impedance will be passed on to the first.
So a demonstration for this, Go back. Demonstration for this is الفالف كده مفتوح. The valve now is open, so when it's closed, it's open. كده it's closed. امسك دي. Okay, so now with this, when it's gonna get into the water, it's gonna close the valve, basically, or close the valve. Okay, so now the valve is closed. So we put water into the valve. It's dripping. Oh my god! Oh, shit, no, that's dripping from the table. Okay, so when we remove the valve, it's going to drip, and so the water drips. Thank God. Wow. Okay. Well, basically, yeah, that was about it. So when we removed the sensor from the water, it sensed that it wasn't connected to water, and the water that was going through the valve opened, and then it went to the other side. Basically, we can use a hose or any water supply instead of dripping water into it, of course, if it's going to be into a ground source. And
Okay, the results we found from our project or experiment was that if we place the sensor at the bottom of the soil plant, if it rains, for example, the valve won't open because there's enough water in the plant. If the plant dries up, then the valve will open.
If it's already been watered before, it's going to know when. It's not going to need a timer to know when it dries up, so that it can water the plants again, basically. Automatically. Agriculturally. Also, I'm joking. Okay, also, we found some practical implications for this type of thing. For example, if it rains and like there's heavy rain, we could use the same technology on sewers, basically, which would be electronic sewers that would read on the sensors that it's raining or that the ground is wet, basically, so it can open the sewers to dry up the streets. Or we could use the same technology on larger fields of plants, or
we can use more valves and more sensors to cover a wider area of
exactly, and they could all be timed or coded at the same time so that they can all open together. But that wouldn't be advised because on a greater scale, some might be still watered, some might not be. So depends, so it would rather be that everyone would work alone. Okay, so to conclude, we were trying to make a device which would automatically water plants, basically, without having man labor, or someone to stand and do it manually, and it worked, thank God. And that's about it. We were able to use the code that we wrote and the Altera device and the circuit that we made to open the valve, basically, and let the water flow whenever it feels it needs to flow automatically alone. And thank you very much. This was Team SSKBBM. BBM.